Something quiet just happened at the White House. Not an announcement, not a press conference, just an image. A golden eagle placed exactly where the president wanted the world to see it. And within hours, social media was on fire. Is this it? Is this the moment America revalues its gold? Is Trump finally about to unlock trillions sitting quietly in Fort Knox? Because here's what most people don't know. There's a number, a legal number, sitting on the U.S. Treasury's books right now, a number so outdated, so absurdly low, that fixing it could shake the entire financial system. And for decades, no president has dared touch it, until now. So the question isn't just, what is this eagle? The question is, why this symbol? Why this balcony? Why this week? And why, on July 4th? Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you will see this image very differently. Now, before we go any further, I want to ask you something, my friend. If you're someone who has lived long enough to remember when the dollar actually meant something, when gold wasn't just a headline but a promise, then you already understand why this moment matters more than most people realize. So if this channel has ever helped you see the economy a little more clearly, a little more honestly, I'd be grateful if you took just a moment to subscribe. Not for me, but for yourself. So you never miss the next signal, the next warning, the next shift before it becomes tomorrow's news. And I'd love to know, where in the world are you watching from today? Drop your city, your country, down in the comments below. It always means a great deal to see just how far and wide this conversation truly travels. Now, let's get into it. Donald Trump has never been quiet about his love for gold. Throughout his time in office, he has surrounded himself with it. Gold trim in the Oval Office, gold accents in nearly every room he touches. To those who follow him closely, gold is not just decoration. It is a message. And messages from a sitting president, even small ones, tend to matter. That is exactly why his latest post on Truth Social caught so much attention. He shared an image, generated with artificial intelligence, showing a large gold eagle mounted on the Truman balcony of the White House. The caption called it a golden gift to the White House, timed to mark its 250th birthday year. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than a symbolic idea, a tribute image, a piece of digital art shared for effect. But within hours, the internet had turned it into something much bigger. Social media users began asking whether this was a hidden signal, a hint, a quiet warning that something major was coming to America's monetary system. The word that kept appearing again and again was revaluation. For those unfamiliar with the term, gold revaluation means officially changing the price the government assigns to its gold reserves. Right now, the United States still values its gold holdings at a price that was set decades ago, a number far below where gold actually trades today. If the government were to revalue that gold to match current market prices, the accounting value of America's reserves would rise dramatically, by hundreds of billions of dollars, almost overnight. This is not a small technical detail. It is a move that could reshape how the government manages debt, how it backs the dollar, and how confidence in American currency is perceived around the world. It has only been done a handful of times in the entire history of the United States. Each time it happened, it came during a period of serious economic pressure. So, when a president known for his love of gold posts an image of a golden eagle on the White House during a week already filled with talk about the dollar, debt, and America's financial standing, it is not surprising that people began connecting the dots. Many started to wonder if this was Trump's way of preparing the public, quietly, for an announcement still to come. Adding fuel to the speculation was the timing. July 4th is not just another date on the calendar. It is a day loaded with symbolism, a day associated with independence, strength, and national identity. If any administration wanted to attach deep meaning to a major financial announcement, Independence Day would be the perfect stage to do it. For the business community, this kind of speculation is not just internet noise, it matters. Gold revaluation, if it ever happened, would send shockwaves through markets. It would affect the dollar's strength, influence interest rates, and change how investors around the world view American financial stability. Entrepreneurs, business owners, and anyone managing capital have good reason to pay close attention whenever this topic resurfaces, even in the form of a single social media post. But before jumping to conclusions, it is worth stepping back and asking a more careful question. Was this post really about gold revaluation at all? Or is the internet, once again, reading far more into a single image than was ever intended? To answer that, it becomes necessary to look beyond the image itself and examine what officials inside the administration have actually said. Because while social media speculation spreads quickly, official statements from the people who actually control monetary policy carry far more weight. And as it turns out, one of the most important voices in this entire conversation has already spoken, directly and clearly, about whether a gold revaluation is coming. That statement changes the entire picture. It forces a serious reconsideration of what this golden eagle really represents, and whether the excitement building online has any real foundation behind it. Understanding that statement and what it truly means for the future of America's gold policy is where the real story begins. The excitement did not last long. Just as speculation about gold revaluation began spreading across social media, one voice stepped forward to settle the matter, and that voice belonged to someone whose words actually carry weight in these decisions. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent addressed the rumors directly in an interview. His answer was simple and firm. There would be no gold revaluation. Not now. Not as part of whatever message the Golden Eagle post was meant to send. This single statement deserves far more attention than it received in the noise of online speculation. Bessent is not a commentator guessing from the sidelines. He is the person who would actually oversee such a decision if it were ever made. When he says revaluation is not happening, that carries far more weight than any theory built from a single AI-generated image. To understand why his denial matters so much, it helps to look at how rare gold revaluation actually is in American history. Only a handful of presidents have ever made this move. Each time it happened, the country was facing serious financial pressure, the kind that forced leaders into drastic action because there were few other options left. It was never done casually. It was never done for symbolic effect. It was done because the alternative was worse. This is an important point for anyone trying to understand what a revaluation actually represents. It is not a celebration tool. It is not something a government uses to mark a birthday or generate excitement online. It is closer to an emergency lever, something pulled when confidence in the system is already under serious strain. Given that history, it becomes much easier to see why Bessent's answer makes sense. The United States is not currently in a position where pulling that lever offers more benefit than risk. Markets are functioning. The dollar, while facing pressure, is not in a state of collapse. There is no obvious crisis forcing the government's hand. That does not mean revaluation is impossible forever. Even Bessent's denial leaves room for change. Officials can change their position later if conditions shift. Economic circumstances move quickly, and today's firm answer is not automatically tomorrow's answer as well. But for now, based on everything publicly available, the picture is clear. This is not the moment. There's also a practical detail that many online commentators overlooked entirely. Any move toward gold revaluation would likely require legislative action, not just a presidential decision. Laws would need to change, processes would need to be followed. This is not something that can happen quietly overnight because of a social media post, no matter how symbolic that post might appear. For the business community, this distinction matters greatly. Reacting to rumors without understanding the actual mechanics behind major financial decisions can lead to poor judgment. Serious decision makers do not build strategy around speculation. They build it around verified information, official statements, and a clear understanding of how these systems actually function. So if the Golden Eagle was not a signal for gold revaluation, the natural question becomes obvious. What was it actually about? If Trump's fascination with gold did not point toward this particular policy shift, was there another message hidden inside that image? Was this post about something else entirely, something smaller in scale but still meaningful? Some analysts have pointed to a different possibility, one that does not require revaluation at all, but could still represent a meaningful shift in how the government treats its gold reserves. This alternative idea has been circulating quietly for years, championed by a specific voice within economic policy circles, someone with direct ties to the very officials now denying revaluation talk. That connection raises an interesting question. If revaluation is officially off the table, could this other idea be the real story hiding beneath the surface? Could the Golden Eagle be pointing towards something entirely different, a policy shift that moves in a similar direction without carrying the same risks? Answering that question requires looking closely at who has been pushing this alternative idea, what she has said about it in the past, and whether her connection to the current administration means this theory deserves to be taken far more seriously than most people currently realize. If gold revaluation is off the table, at least for now, then attention naturally shifts toward a quieter idea, one that has been circulating for years without ever fully entering mainstream conversation. That idea is the gold-backed bond. The person most closely associated with this concept is Judy Shelton, a well-known figure in monetary policy circles. For years, she's argued in favor of tying government debt more closely to gold, suggesting that bonds backed by gold could offer a path toward greater financial stability without requiring the drastic step of full revaluation. What makes her voice particularly relevant right now is not just her long history of promoting this idea. It is her connection to the very people currently shaping economic policy. Reports have confirmed that Shelton met privately with Scott Bessent, the same Treasury Secretary who just publicly denied any plans for gold revaluation. That meeting took place months ago, well before the Golden Eagle image ever appeared online. This detail matters. It suggests that conversations about gold, its role in government finance, and how it might be used differently in the future have already been happening behind closed doors, long before public speculation began. Still, it would be a mistake to treat one private meeting as confirmation of a coming policy shift. Meetings happen constantly in Washington. Ideas get discussed without ever becoming action. There is no public evidence that this particular conversation led directly to any concrete plan. Serious analysis requires resisting the temptation to turn a single data point into a guaranteed outcome. What can be said with more confidence is that Shelton has previously floated a very specific idea, one tied directly to a specific date. In past public comments, she suggested that a symbolic announcement tied to American independence could serve as a meaningful moment to introduce gold-backed financial instruments. That date, of course, is July 4th. This is where the pieces start to feel less random. A president known for his love of gold, a Treasury Secretary who denies revaluation but has quietly met with a leading voice on gold-backed bonds, and a specific date already linked, in past commentary, to exactly this kind of announcement. Even so, careful analysis demands restraint. The fact that these pieces exist does not guarantee they will come together on this particular July 4th. Governments move slowly. Policy proposals, especially ones involving the structure of national debt, typically require extensive planning, legal review, and coordination across multiple agencies. Announcing something of this scale in a matter of days, based purely on a symbolic social media post, would be unusual, even for an administration known for unconventional communication. A more realistic possibility is that this July 4th serves as a symbolic marker rather than a policy launch date. It may represent messaging, an early signal meant to gauge public reaction, rather than an actual implementation of gold-backed bonds. Governments frequently test ideas informally before committing to them officially, and a viral social media post costs far less than a formal policy announcement, while still revealing how the public might respond. For the business community, this distinction carries real weight. Gold-backed bonds, if they were ever introduced, would represent a meaningful shift in how government debt is structured. They could influence investor confidence, interest rates, and the broader relationship between gold and traditional currency. Entrepreneurs and decision-makers who understand this possibility early, even as a distant one, position themselves ahead of those who dismiss it entirely. Whether or not gold-backed bonds arrive this Independence Day, their mere presence in serious policy conversations tells its own story. It suggests that gold's role in America's financial future is being reconsidered at levels far beyond public visibility, quietly, carefully, and without official confirmation. That brings the analysis back to the image itself. If gold-backed bonds are only a distant possibility rather than an immediate plan, then perhaps the golden eagle was never meant to symbolize policy at all. Perhaps its true meaning is far more literal than anyone initially assumed. After weighing every theory, from revaluation to gold-backed bonds, a simpler explanation begins to stand out. Perhaps the golden eagle was never meant to symbolize hidden policy at all. Perhaps it was meant to be taken exactly as it appeared. Look closely at the wording Trump used in his post. He did not describe the eagle as a gift to the American people. He described it as a gift to the White House itself, tied to the building's 250th birthday year. That distinction matters more than it might first appear. A gift to a building suggests something physical, something meant to be placed on that structure, not a coded reference to monetary policy. This interpretation fits naturally with everything already known about Trump's personal style. Throughout his time in office, he has consistently used physical gold to decorate spaces around him. The Oval Office has been filled with gold trim and ornamentation. Other rooms inside the White House have received similar treatment. Adding a large gold eagle to the exterior of the building would simply continue a pattern he has followed for years. Seen this way, the most likely outcome is not a financial announcement at all. It is a physical addition to the White House itself. A golden eagle mounted somewhere on the building before the end of the year, serving as a lasting visual symbol tied to its milestone anniversary. Nothing more complicated than that. Still, even a literal interpretation does not mean the moment carries no significance for the business community. Trump's continued and public affection for gold, expressed again and again through both words and imagery, keeps the subject of gold policy firmly in the public conversation. Every time he references gold, even symbolically, it reopens discussion around America's reserves, its currency, and its long-term financial direction. That discussion alone can influence sentiment, even without any formal policy change behind it. There's one more thread worth watching closely, one that ties directly back to trust and transparency around America's gold holdings. Trump has previously called for a full audit of the gold reserves stored at Fort Knox, a call that gained fresh attention following reports of missing gold linked to a former government official. An actual audit, if it were to happen, would carry far more weight than any single social media post. It would offer real, verified answers about the size and condition of America's gold reserves, information that has remained largely unconfirmed for decades. For serious observers, this is the detail that deserves the closest attention moving forward. Not the eagle itself, but whether it becomes the opening chapter of a larger conversation about transparency, reserves, and how America chooses to manage its gold in the years ahead. For now, the evidence points toward a simple conclusion. This was not a signal for gold revaluation. Scott Bessent's denial remains the clearest, most authoritative statement available. Gold-backed bonds remain a distant possibility, not a confirmed plan. And the Golden Eagle, most likely, will end up exactly where the caption suggested, attached to the White House itself. But symbolism has a way of building towards something larger over time. A gold eagle today. Renewed audit calls tomorrow. A shifting global conversation about gold's role in modern finance close behind. For the business community, the lesson is not to panic over every image or post, but to keep watching closely. Because when a leader keeps returning to the same symbol again and again, sooner or later, that symbol tends to mean something real.